Welcome back. Now, after last week's 2-0 win at Bolton in the first leg, the Bury manager Mike Walsh drew attention to the club's limited resources. Being resourceful, however, is an entirely different matter, and they were certainly that on the night. And no one ever questioned the club's ambitions.
Stanislas again aiming for the tall man Nil, again wins it. Confusion in the Bolton defence, and a brilliant goal for Gary Powell. And it's Luther Blissett against David Burke. And it's the old head of Blissett. He's been in this situation a few times. He knows what to do. Luther Blissett.
Well, that was Bury's impressive victory at Burnham Park last Tuesday night. Sadly, we rather upset one or two people here at Gig Lane by calling him a ragtag and bobtail outfit. With me is Neville Neville, the commercial manager of Bury. He's going to show us one or two reasons, or maybe even more than that, why they're not.
Most of the things that are nice have all been sponsored by local companies. We've got a beautiful facility here in the boardroom suite.
It's a similar story in the suite down the corridor for 300 members in the exec suite.
And as you can see, you can look out on the pitch from this one and watch the game, especially in bad weather. All the photos you see on the wall date back some 100 years, which is the history of the club. It's all completely new. Most of it, again, being sponsored. We now move out into what I consider the proudest thing of Bury Football Club, and that's our new stand. And as you can see, Alistair, it's as nice as any stand you could wish to be in. We are very proud of it, very, very proud of it.
One man impressed by it all, Bolton's former Bury man, David Lee.
Massive improvement, really, and all credit to the club. I mean, he's not had much money over the last couple of years, but to make this look the way it does is absolutely brilliant, and trust to bits from it. It's great to be playing here tonight.
One man who didn't think he'd be playing last night, Bury's new goalkeeper Lee Bracey, signed from Halifax Town with just hours to spare.
Well, it's a surprise, yeah.
So when did you first hear about the confirmation of all this?
Yesterday.
It's all been a bit rough.
Yeah, and I think Halifax tried to stop it yesterday as well.
No one really had the better of the early exchanges in the first half. The best chance coming the way of Dave Hanson, Gary Powell's run. And Hanson's run to the near post nearly timed to perfection, just flicking off the back of his head. Soon after, though, and Bolton had begun to take control. And it was no surprise when they opened the scoring, unmarked in the area, Owen Coyle from the Mark Patterson corner. In the second half, heartened by that early advantage, they attempted to make sure that the first leg damage had all been repaired, Coyle coming inches from doing so. But that equaliser did soon arrive. 2-0 on the night, 2-2 on aggregate, courtesy of the villain of the first leg, the hero of the second, John McGinley. McGinley had been booed all night by the Bury fans, who weren't too happy with his challenge on their goalkeeper Gary Kelly in the first leg. But the whole tie was nearly wrapped up with minutes to spare. Luther Blissett, superb dart into the area, presenting a chance on a plate for Powell, who couldn't finish. In the end, Powell had the best chance of extra time. His crashing volley deep into the second period nearly sealed it. And so to penalties. Former Bury hero David Lee saved by their new hero Lee Bracey. After that, though, enter Keith Brannigan. 3 straight saves, eventually meaning that John McGinley had the chance to seal it. 3-0 then to Bolton on penalties, but who'd be a penalty taker?
I felt sorry for the players that missed, because you know, all the pressure's on them. As for the keeper, you just go one way or the other.
I said to my landlady before I come out, I hope we don't get a penalty tonight. I can do without that first game. Just what I didn't want to happen did.
Well, for any neutral supporter looking to get value for money, head to the racecourse ground. 12 goals in 2 games. Here's Rob McCaffrey on last night's match between Wrexham and Crewe.
They used to turn up in luxury coaches in the good old days. Last night, Crewe boss Dario Gradi parked his own team minibus outside Wrexham's racecourse. In the cost-cutting arena of lower division football, no one has a record like Gradi for developing homegrown talent. His reward is the longest contract in football. But this man's a Gradi rival. Brian Flynn has brought 14 youngsters through Wrexham's youth training scheme, some of the brightest talent around. Flynn's been able to hold on to them this summer, but his record's so impressive, it might be difficult for Wrexham to eventually hold on to him.
It's the only way ahead. We have to produce our own players. I mean, same as Manchester United, they're doing the same thing as well. Arsenal did the same thing, they won the championship. But for us, it's the lifeblood of the football club.
Wrexham unveiled their new signing from Crusaders last night, the centre-half Barry Hunter. It was to be an interesting confrontation with the Crewe centre-forward Ashley Ward, who was once on Wrexham's books. You had to be quick to catch Barry Hunter's first effort on goal that almost put Wrexham ahead and almost caught Crewe cold. Cleared off the line. All arms and legs, this man, but strong and powerful in the air. But both Crewe and Wrexham are sides full of promising youngsters, a number of free spirits prepared to take players on. This is Carl Connolly, who did enough, just enough, to stick out a toe and dink an opening goal over Mark Smith, and that gave Wrexham a 2-0 aggregate lead. Connolly actually had Gary Bennett free to his left, but chose the direct route home. It was 3-0 on aggregate when Wrexham earned a penalty, Wayne Phillips committing the Crewe defence. This was beginning to look like a stroll. Gary Bennett was the top scorer last season and has begun this season in the same rich vein of form. Goals and more goals. Almost the last touch of the first half. Stuart Evans to Andy Lyons, and Crewe had got themselves a platform for a second half comeback. Brian Flynn was disappointed the way the Wrexham defended, and this is one reason why. But the neutrals can't complain at the racecourse about entertainment. 6 goals on the opening day of the season. Wrexham got 3 more last night. Connolly again. Gus Wilson with a helping hand. Poor Gus will spare the agony of showing him an action replay of that one. You'd think that was going to be enough. But Wrexham are really like the Oldham of Division 2, hammering teams 3-all. And Crewe gave them a terrible fright. This is a cracking goal from Darren Rowbottom, sneaking in on the blind side. Wrexham just failed to pick him up, and that was 4-2 on aggregate. Suddenly Crewe were beginning to find the rhythm that had eluded them in the first half, and Ashley Ward was getting more and more involved. Ward maybe should have done better with this, firing across the face of the goal. Just another touch would have done. Wrexham were beginning to panic. Though Steve Watkin, yet another from the youth policy, was willing all night. He really is developing into a mature striker indeed. But time enough for Crewe and Ashley Ward to get the goal of the night. A solo effort that left Wrexham just standing and watching. He ran straight past Barry Hunter, and Mark Morris never stood a chance. It really is great fun at Wrexham these days. 6 more goals to enjoy. This undoubtedly the pick of them. 3-3 on the night. That was 4-3 on aggregate. But does absolutely nothing for a manager's pulse rate.
We can't go on like that this year. I mean, it's superb entertainment for the supporters. I mean, it was 3-3 against Rotherham, it was 3-3 again tonight. The only pleasing thing is we're looking dangerous going forward, but we've got to tighten up at the back.
Well, obviously Chester are hoping for much better things this season, and they were by no means disgraced over 2 legs against Sunderland. Rob Palmer went along to the Diva Stadium.
12 months ago, this was hailed as the promised land for followers of football in the city of Chester, but it hasn't quite worked out that way. The Sealand Road Stadium had been sold. The past was supposedly left behind. It was all a new beginning. So, what's gone wrong in the last 12 months or so?
The important thing, Rob, is that really that it's all been about bricks and mortar the last few years. We had a 2-year exile at Mansfield. They built a new ground, and I think people have forgotten, really, that it's about what's on the football field at the end of the day.
He's not the only man in limbo. The chairman's hands are also tied until a new buyer is found. How difficult is it to be a chairman of a club when you don't have full power of it?
Well, it's difficult, but there's a lot of clubs like that. A lot of sharing the same thing, and we have to work as a board. And the board's decision is we don't want to buy any players at the moment.
I think what it needs now, I think it needs somebody to take it over now. Somebody who wants to be involved in football, somebody who wants a football club for the right reasons. That will always put a question mark, like I say, over the manager. But really, I don't mind. I have enough feeling for this club.
The Chester team is playing its heart out for Graham Barrow, but without any success. Again, it was a battling performance. Stuart Rimmer almost gave them the start they needed. But 3-1 behind from the first leg was always going to be too great a gap. And to be honest, Sunderland were from a different class of football. With respect to Chester, the Roker players had pedigree, and it showed. Lee Powell, one of 5 new players in Terry Butcher's £2 million summer of reconstruction. Chester's main concern was ending a losing streak which stretched back 10 matches. At least that ended. The club don't have too many assets. Probably their greatest is striker Stuart Rimmer. He scored the club's only goal this season. Couldn't score last night though, but impressed a couple of watching managers. His value is only a fraction of his opposite number, Sunderland's Don Goodman, the subject of a bid from Manchester City. But Terry Butcher doesn't want him to go from the northeast to the northwest.
Yes, he made a bid for Don Goodman. It wasn't anything near to a figure that we were, or we could even consider. So if they want to come back and put together a figure, that's up to them. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, any club wants to put figures to me, to my players, you know, we talk about it.
Or certainly the Manchester City situation provoking a lot of feeling at the moment. Well, certainly nothing wrong with the two-legged system in the Coca-Cola Cup so far. Further proof coming up with the best of the rest.
Mansfield held Stoke 2-2 at the Victoria Ground and then threatened to finish the job at home when Phil Stant nodded in an opening goal for them. But then Stoke got off the floor and began to punch their weight. Another from the corner, Mark Steen unmarked at the far post. Corner number 3, goal number 3. Couple of assists this time, but Steen again bundling in at the far post, bundling everything in fact. Then a bundle turned into a rumble, which threatened to get out of hand. No problem with this one though. The best from Dave Regis, 60 metres in 5 seconds, and a photo finish too. Stoke going through.
Port Vale too had drawn 2-2 in the first leg, but weren't so lucky in the away leg. Ian Taylor brought down to earn them a penalty. And up stepped the normally reliable Paul Kerr. He missed, and Vale went out on away goals.
Now this really is how to throw it away. Stockport simply green, though Kevin Francis put them ahead in the first half. So far so good. But then this is injury time in the second half, and Hartlepool scored twice. Mick Tate credited with the first, and then Brian Honour really took the honours with a goal that certainly can be described as bizarre. 35 yards over Neil Edwards, no joke, and no time to come back.
Well, leading the